at 60. After 36 years of marriage, Clara Whitcomb left the courthouse with a grocery sack, a brown cardigan, and a legal description of a greenhouse her husband's lawyer called a liability. Warren kept the house on Hickory Bend, the business account, the retirement funds, and the new truck he said was company necessary. Clara got a 2009 Buick with one working speaker, $183. 42 in checking and parcel B behind the old Whitcomb nursery. A greenhouse, cracked glass, rusted pipes, no heat, no crop. When Warren's lawyer said, "No objection from our side," Clara almost heard Lillian Whitcomb's voice from years before, "Keep the papers dry." She had not thought about those words in 9 years. Not until Bellamy slid the parcel schedule forward and smiled. Clara noticed because she had watched that clock through the whole settlement hearing, watched the black minute hand drag itself past 10, then 11, then almost noon, while Warren sat across the aisle in a gray suit and did not look at her once. His attorney, Mr. Bellamy, smelled faintly of peppermint and rain wool. He kept tapping a capped pen against a yellow pad where he had written Clara's name as Claire Whitcomb. 36 years married, and even her wrong name looked more confident on paper than she did. The judge read the property division in a flat voice. Marital residence to Warren. Whitcomb Landscape Supply and Associated Accounts to Warren. Investment portfolio to Warren, subject to a cash settlement Clara would receive in installments after outstanding debts were reconciled. Nobody said the installment amount. Nobody said when. Clara's attorney, a young woman from legal aid with a coffee stain on her sleeve, leaned close and whispered, "This is the agreement you approved." And Clara had not approved it so much as stopped correcting it. The grocery sack between her shoes held a hairbrush, 2 prescription bottles, a tin of buttons, and a framed school photograph of Jenna in 2nd grade. Warren had put those things on the back porch the night before in a cardboard box that had once held dishwasher detergent. It had rained. The box collapsed, so Clara used the bag from the courthouse vending machine. Warren had not even kept the photo dry. If you believe a woman can still begin again after everyone has counted her finished, subscribe and stay with Clara. When the hearing ended, Warren rose first. His chair scraped the floor, too loud in the small room. He walked past Clara with his phone already to his ear. "Parcel B is yours," Bellamy said, sliding the last page toward her. "The greenhouse tract. No objection from our side." He smiled as if he were being generous. Clara looked down. The paper listed the parcel at an assessed value of $900, with a note in the margin, "Derelict structure, possible demolition cost, demolition." Clara folded the page. A grain of black toner came off on her thumb. The Buick started on the 2nd turn. The dashboard flashed tire pressure low, though all 4 tires looked full enough. In the cup holder was a library card from 2017 with Warren's name on it. He had not been inside a library since Reagan was president, but there it was. Clara drove west. The road left the courthouse, then the subdivisions, then the chain stores, then the last shopping center with 3 empty windows and a nail salon still open. November fields spread low on either side of the highway. Corn stubble, black cows, a white church with a blue tarp over the steeple. By the time she reached Whitcomb Nursery, the sun had gone thin behind the ridge. The nursery sign lay half-fallen beside the gravel drive. The painted tulips on it had faded to a sick pink. One plastic flamingo stood near the gate, its head missing. Clara stopped the car and listened. No traffic, no voices. Just the tick of the engine cooling and one crow knocking around in the sycamore branches. She had not been here in 9 years. The main office was boarded. The hoop houses had collapsed into rows of bent metal. Beyond them, behind a wall of honeysuckle and volunteer pines, stood Lillian's greenhouse. It was smaller than Clara remembered, and longer. 12 glass panels were missing from the east wall. Ivy had crawled over the roof ridge and dropped roots through a broken vent. The front door hung crooked on one hinge, chained shut with a padlock so orange with rust it looked burned. The air smelled of wet soil, old plastic, and something sweet rotting under leaves. Clara found the key ring in the envelope from the settlement packet. None of the keys fit the padlock. She stood there a moment, coat open, wind pushing through the brown cardigan. Then she went to the trunk, took out the tire iron, and broke the hasp with 3 blows. The sound moved through the empty nursery and came back smaller. Inside, the light turned green. Dirty glass softened everything. Wooden benches ran down both sides of the greenhouse, warped but standing. Clay pots lay on their sides. A stack of black seed trays had melted together in one corner from summer heat. Old drip lines sagged like black string. At the far end sat Lillian's potting bench. Clara knew it before she reached it. Gray wood, tin surface, one drawer that never closed straight. The left leg shorter than the others, shimmed with folded cardboard from a seed catalog. The catalog still showed spring 1998, though a mouse had chewed the date into 1898. Clara put her hand on the bench. Dust rose under her palm. She could see Lacine there as clearly as if she had only gone to fetch coffee. Thin wrists, pearl earrings even in garden dirt, a yellow pencil behind her ear. Lillian tapping the soil with 2 fingers and saying, "Gentle with the roots. Most damage happens where nobody sees it." Clara had been 26 when she first heard that. Years later, after Lillian died, Clara had asked about the nursery papers. Warren said there was nothing useful in them. Old receipts, he told her. Sentimental mess. He had already handled it. Lillian had not answered him. She had handed Clara a tray of basil starts and shown her how to lift each one without tearing the root hair. Now Clara dragged the bench away from the back wall to see if it was worth selling. One leg caught on the concrete. Something scraped behind it. She leaned down and found a loose board set into the lower shelf, fixed with 2 brass screws that had no rust on them at all. Clara stared at those screws. Everything else in the greenhouse had weathered. Those had not. She found an old screwdriver in a coffee can marked clips. The handle was red once, now the color of dried blood. The screws turned easily. Behind the board was a metal cookie tin wrapped in oilcloth and a flat envelope sealed with tape. The tin had blue Christmas angels on it, though one angel had a mustache drawn in black ink. Clara sat on the cold floor, her knees cracked. She opened the envelope first. Inside was a folded deed, yellow at the edges, with a blue notary seal pressed deep into the paper. Augusta County, Virginia. Deed Book 1186, page 442. Grantor, Lillian May Whitcomb. Grantee, Clara Elaine Whitcomb, a married woman, as her sole and separate property. Parcel B, including greenhouse structure, access easement from County Road 614 and existing well rights. Dated July 12, 2004. Clara read the sentence again, as her sole and separate property. A small wind moved through the broken east wall. One strip of loose plastic fluttered against glass with a tapping sound like fingernails. There was a letter tucked behind the deed. For Clara, when she comes back to herself, Lillian's handwriting had been narrow and slanted, impatient with loops. Clara did not open it right away. She folded the deed back along its old creases and placed it on the tin surface of the potting bench. Then she noticed her hands were dirty. She wiped them on her cardigan. The dirt stayed. The letter began without apology. Dear Clara, if you are reading this, Warren has either sold what he should not have sold, or you have finally come back to the greenhouse. I hope it is the second one. I signed the enclosed deed in 2004 while I still knew every precedent in order and exactly where Warren hid the good bourbon. Patricia Bell notarized it at the county office. May Calder recorded it the same afternoon. If Warren tells you I was confused, remember he has always called women confused when we disagreed with him. This greenhouse is yours because you kept it alive when I could not. You drove me to Staunton for treatments. You watered when my hands shook. You cleaned the drains in March when Warren said he had a bid due. You stayed. A seed only looks small to people who do not know what it can become. Keep the deed somewhere dry. Lillian. Clara read the last line twice. Then she looked around the greenhouse for somewhere dry and almost laughed, but no sound came out. She put the letter back in the envelope and opened the cookie tin. Inside were seed packets, all labeled in Lillian's hand. Mortgage Lifter Tomato, Blue Lake Pole Bean, Clemson Spineless Okra, Calendula, Collards, Basil, Marigold. There was also a ledger book with a green cloth cover and a receipt tucked inside from Miller's Feed, dated March 3, 2001, for peat mix, seed trays, and 1 peppermint patty. Clara opened the ledger. Not accounts, not exactly. Seed starts, April 9, 1999. 12 tomato plants for Evelyn Bell, don't let her pay. Frank's hours cut again, May 2, 2000. 3 flats of collards to Mount Zion Pantry. Pastor says need is higher this year. April 14, 2002. Basil and marigolds for school garden. Children need to smell something besides cafeteria bleach. June 1, 2004. Clara stayed late and fixed the East Mister line. Warren did not notice. Clara did. Clara closed the book. Outside, the crow gave one rough call from the sycamore. She placed the deed, the letter, and the ledger back into the envelope, then tucked the envelope under her coat. The greenhouse door would not close properly after she broke the hasp. She looped the chain anyway. It looked ridiculous. A locked door with no lock. The Buick's dome light flickered when she got in. On the passenger seat, the settlement papers lay where she had dropped them. Bellamy's clean black print. Worn initials. Her own signature, smaller each time it appeared. Andomer. Clara drove to the motel on Route 250 because it was the only place with a weekly rate posted on the sign. The clerk gave her room 14 and a key card that said, 2019 Happy New Year. The room smelled of lemon cleaner and old smoke. The bedspread had brown roses on it. Someone had left a sock in the drawer. Clara put Lillian's envelope on the nightstand, then placed the motel Bible on top of it so the papers would not curl. She did not sleep much. At 6:12 the next morning, she drove to the Augusta County Courthouse Annex. A flag snapped hard in the parking lot. The sky was low and white. The records office opened at 8:30. Clara was there at 8:07, sitting on a wooden bench beneath a framed map of the county where someone had marked the wrong town with a red star. A woman in a green wool coat came in at 8:24 carrying 2 paper cups of coffee and a canvas bag full of folders. She stopped when she saw Clara. "Well," the woman said. "You found it." Clara stood. The woman was older than Clara by 10 years, maybe more. Her hair was white and cut blunt at her chin. She had a mole near her left eye and reading glasses hanging from a purple cord. "I'm May Calder," she said. "I recorded that deed." Clara held the envelope tighter. May noticed. "I'm not here for it," she said. "I'm here for you." They sat at a public search terminal that hummed like an old refrigerator. May typed without looking at the keys. Her fingers were bent at the knuckles, but quick. "Deed book 1186, she said. "Page 442. The scanned image appeared slowly, line by line. There it was, Lillian's signature. Clara's name, the legal description, Patricia Bell's notary stamp. Recording date, July 12, 2004, 3:17 p.m. Instrument number 04007931. May printed 3 copies. The printer jammed on the second one and spat out half a page with Clara's name cut at the neck. May opened the machine, pulled out the paper, and said, "This office hates women too." Clara looked at her. May shrugged. "Some days." At the counter, May laid the clean copy beside the original. "A recorded deed gives notice to the world," she said. "It doesn't mean no one will argue. It means they start behind." Warren said it belonged to the business. Warren says a lot. He'll say Lillian didn't know. May pushed the copy toward Clara. Then we show she did. She reached into her canvas bag and pulled out an old manila folder. The tab read Whitcomb, Lillian. Inside were copies of public records and one handwritten note. "I kept this," May said. "I probably shouldn't have." The note was from Lillian to May, dated the same day as the deed. "Thank you for recording this promptly. My son will dislike it." That is not a legal objection. Clara pressed her thumb to the bottom edge of the paper. May looked out the records office window toward the courthouse lawn. 2 men in orange vests were trying to plant winter pansies in soil hard as brick. "Lillian brought my boy vegetables for 2 years after my husband died," May said. Never said charity. Said she had extras. There were never extras. Clara did not answer. May closed the folder. "Do you have a safe place?" Clara thought of room 14. The sock in the drawer. The Bible on the nightstand. "No, then we make copies." By noon, Clara had a certified copy ordered, 3 plain copies, 1 digital scan on a thumb drive, May labeled Greenhouse Deed in black marker, and a list of 2 legal aid attorneys who handled property disputes. May also wrote down the name of a retired circuit judge, who sometimes mediated title matters, though she added, "Don't call him unless you enjoy being corrected about commas." And Clara left. May followed her to the parking lot. "There's more than the deed," May said. Clara turned. "Lillian had people," May said. "People remember." Wind lifted the edge of Clara's cardigan. "People forget," Clara said. May shook her head. not when they ate. That afternoon, Clara returned to the greenhouse with a broom, a box of contractor trash bags, and a thermos May had filled without asking. The door squealed when she opened it. A squirrel bolted from under the bench, carrying something in its mouth that looked like a foam earplug. Clara swept glass into piles. She sorted pots by size. She threw out cracked plastic trays and kept the ones that could hold soil if lined with newspaper. The work made her back ache in a clean, specific way. She knew what caused it. That helped. Near the north wall, behind stacked flats, she found a second shelf of ledgers, not hidden, just waiting. The green books covered 12 years. Lillian's entries changed with age. Early pages neat, later ones larger, with words tilting downhill. Clara read while sitting on an overturned bucket that had once held hydrangea fertilizer. March 18, 1997. Clara repotted 80 geraniums, faster than Warren ever was. Don't tell him. He will call it a competition. 2003. Gave cucumber starts to Denise Rowe, her divorce final, thin as a rake handle. Told her cucumbers take more room than you expect. She laughed. May 10, 2004. Clara missed lunch again because Warren called about payroll. Sent soup home with her. She did not eat it here. Then, one line in darker ink. July 12, 2004. Deed recorded. Greenhouse safe if Clara ever needs it. She will not believe she is allowed to need it. A truck went by on County Road 614, gears grinding down the hill. Clara kept reading. A teacher whose classroom garden fed children lettuce in paper cups. A widow who traded eggs for herb starts even when Lillian wrote no charge in the margin. A retired nurse who needed tomato plants because canned soup had too much salt. By the last book, Lillian's handwriting shook. April 21, 2008. Warren asked again about selling the backtract. Told him no. He said sentiment is expensive. He has no idea. May 2, 2008. Clara watered without being asked. She stood in the warm aisle and closed her eyes. I wish she would stay where she can breathe. Clara shut the ledger. A drop of water fell from a cracked pipe into an empty pot. Plink. Another. Plink. She looked down the long aisle of broken glass and dry benches. She had come to strip the place. Instead, she found a broom in her hand. The first person from town came the next morning. A man in a brown Carhartt jacket walked up with 2 panes of salvaged greenhouse glass in the bed of his pickup and a coffee can full of bent glazing clips on the passenger seat. He introduced himself as Roy Bell, though his mailbox said Beale with an A because his grandfather had misspelled it and never fixed the sign. My wife said these were junk, he said. So naturally I kept them. Clara looked at the can. The label said decaf, though the smell of old motor oil came off the metal rim. I'm not set up to buy supplies, she said. Good, Roy said. These aren't for sale. He unloaded the glass and leaned it carefully against the greenhouse wall. Lillian gave us plants every year, he said, even when we had nothing to trade. I can't pay for glass. I didn't invoice you. He went back to his truck before she could answer. The coffee can sat on the potting bench until noon, full of bent clips and one screw that did not match anything. At 1 o'clock, a young man in a faded army jacket walked up the drive, pushing a bicycle with a flat tire. Mom, he said, you got a pump? Clara almost said no. Then she remembered the old compressor shed behind the greenhouse. I might. His name was Eli Turner, 29. He had a narrow face, close-cropped hair, and dirt under his fingernails that looked permanent. He had worked for a commercial grower outside Waynesboro until the owner sold to a developer. Before that, he had studied horticulture for 3 semesters and left when his mother's lungs got bad. The compressor did not work. Eli took off the cover, found a mud dauber nest inside the switch box, and cleaned the contacts with the edge of a pocket knife. The compressor kicked on with a cough that startled them both. Your Mr. Lines are wrong, he said, looking up at the sagging pipes. They're old. No, I mean wrong. Somebody bypassed the pressure regulator. Warren, Clara said. Eli did not ask who Warren was. He filled his tire, then stayed to trace the water lines. By 4, he had patched a leak with hose clamps from his backpack and replaced a cracked connector using one he took from an abandoned hoop house. Clara found $11 in her purse. I can pay for today. Eli looked at the bills, then at the greenhouse. I wasn't asking, I was offering. He took $7 and left 4 on the bench. The nectar was mine, he said. Labor wasn't full. He showed up the next morning with a socket set and 2 biscuits wrapped in a napkin from a gas station that had printed Happy Easter on it in October. The compressor ticked after Eli shut it off. 1 repaired line, 1 pane of glass, 1 tray washed clean. Clara slept at the motel for 3 more nights, then moved a cot into the old nursery office because room 14 cost more than fear did. The office roof leaked over the front desk, so she placed a nursery tub under it. Rain hit the plastic at night with a hollow, patient sound. May came on Thursdays with a scanner and a box of file folders. She helped Clara organize copies of the deed, tax records, the settlement agreement, and Lillian's letter. "Make paper boring," May said. Boring paper wins. Clara started seeds in January with heat mats Eli repaired from 3 broken ones. The first warm light came from a clamp lamp with a dented shade. When Eli plugged it in, the bulb flickered twice, then stayed on. Its circle of yellow light fell across 1 tray of tomatoes. Clara stood with her hands in her coat pockets. Eli checked the cord. "Insane but not suicidal. We'll take that." By February, people had started stopping by. A church deacon brought compost. A retired teacher brought labels. 2 women from town brought a folding table with 1 short leg and said Lillian had given their mother beans during the strike in 1982. Clara sold what she could. She gave away what she could not sell. She kept a small notebook, not as grand as Lillian's ledger, just a spiral pad from Dollar General with a purple unicorn on the cover. Mrs. Rowe, 6 cabbage starts, pay later. Tanya Mills, seed potatoes, no charge. Jenna called once a week. Her voice was careful, like she was walking across ice. "Dad says you're sleeping in an office. For now, Mom. It has heat, does it?" Clara looked at the space heater, unplugged because it sparked if turned past low. "In a manner." Jenna sighed. "He says the greenhouse isn't worth this." Clara watered the tomato tray while holding the phone between shoulder and cheek. "Your father has always known what things cost." "That's not an answer." No, neither of them filled the silence. In March, the certified copy of the deed arrived in the mail. 2 days later, so did a letter from Bellamy and Stroud. The envelope was thick, cream paper. Clara opened it in the greenhouse with dirt under her nails and the smell of damp peat rising from the benches. Warren was contesting the deed. The letter alleged Lillian had lacked capacity in 2004. It alleged Clara had exercised undue influence while acting as caregiver. It alleged the greenhouse parcel had been wrongly excluded from the marital estate due to incomplete disclosure. Bellamy demanded that Clara cease any sale, transfer, lease, or commercial activity pending review. Eli was replacing a pane of glass when she read it. The old glass squeaked in the frame. Outside, a red ball from some neighbor's yard rolled into the gravel and stopped against a flat of pansies. Clara folded the letter along its original crease and set it on the potting bench. Eli climbed down from the ladder. "Bad? Warren wants it. Because you fixed it. Because someone else did." She did not call May that day, or the next. For 3 mornings, the letter stayed on the bench beside a tray of peppers that needed thinning. Clara moved the tray twice and left the letter where it was. On the 3rd afternoon, Eli came in carrying a pane of glass against his hip. "That letter still on the bench?" Clara looked at it. Then she went to the office phone. That Friday, Warren came in person. He drove a black pickup so clean the tires still shone. It looked wrong in the gravel lot. He parked where Lillian used to stack bags of mulch and stepped out wearing a quilted vest, pressed jeans, and boots without mud on them. Clara was thinning basil. He entered through the open greenhouse door and stopped just inside, blinking at the warm, damp air. He had always disliked greenhouses. Too close, too wet, too many things touching him. "You've made progress," he said. Clara kept working. Warren looked at the seed trays, the repaired glass, the new labels made from cut-up yogurt lids. Bellamy sent a letter. "I got it. This doesn't need court." "No? You can sign the parcel over. I'll give you $25,000. Clara pinched the weaker basil seedling and left the stronger one. "You appraised it at $9,800. That was before. Before what?" He looked toward the far end of the greenhouse, where the access road curved past the old well house. "There's interest in the back acreage. A regional buyer. Food distribution. Maybe a greenhouse hub." Clara wiped her fingers on a rag. "You mean it's valuable now? I mean it can be used properly." She turned then. Warren's face had aged in small, expensive ways. Good dental work, good haircut, skin kept from weather, but under his eyes was a slackness she had not seen during the divorce. "Lillian gave it to me," Clara said. "She wasn't well. She knew enough to write it down. You were with her every day." "Yes, that's what Bellamy will raise." A heater clicked off behind them. The greenhouse suddenly held only drip sounds and wind against repaired glass. Warren looked at the basil tray. "You don't understand what this could become." Clara picked up the tray and moved it into better light. "I think I do." Warren did not answer. He looked at the potting bench, saw Lillian's old stool beside it, and for a moment his mouth moved as if he had almost said mother. Then his phone rang. He took it outside. The summons came in April. Warren filed in circuit court seeking declaratory judgment that the deed was void or, in the alternative, that Clara had committed fraud by not disclosing separate property value in the divorce. A read the complaint at the folding table under the heat lamp. She had brought lemon cookies nobody opened. "He's throwing every pebble he owns," May said. "Can he win?" "Anyone can win if the other side doesn't show up with paper." Clara showed up with paper. May helped her find the notary's commission records. Patricia Bell had died in 2016, but her notary log had been preserved by her daughter, Evelyn, who still lived off Goose Creek Road. Evelyn remembered Lillian. She wore gloves in July, Evelyn said from her kitchen table, where a ceramic rooster held unpaid bills. White cotton ones, said hands tell too much. The notary log showed Lillian had appeared in person on July 12, 2004. Driver's license verified, deeds signed voluntarily. No concerns noted. Clara got a copy. And at Augusta Health, after 2 phone calls and 1 mailed authorization form, Lillian had signed years before naming Clara as emergency contact. Clara obtained an old discharge summary from June 2004. It stated patient alert and oriented, decision-making intact. The clerk faxed it upside down first, then apologized with a smiley face on the cover sheet. May found tax bills. They had gone to the greenhouse parcel address, not to Warren. Most had been paid from Lillian's estate account until funds ran out. After that, penalties accrued, small ones. Clara arranged a payment plan with the treasurer's office, $38 a month. The woman at the counter stamped the agreement and said, "Keep the yellow copy." Later, Clara put it in a folder labeled taxes, because May was watching. At night after watering, Clara began hosting what May jokingly called paper and seed night. It started with 3 women. By the 3rd Thursday, there were 14. They sat at folding tables between trays of peppers and marigolds, drinking coffee from paper cups that said "Best Dad Ever" because Roy had bought them cheap after Father's Day. May showed them how to look up deeds online, where to find instrument numbers, and why a certified copy mattered more than a family promise. Clara showed them how to start tomatoes deep enough to root along the stem. Women brought shoeboxes of documents, wills, titles, old insurance policies, a divorce decree with coffee spilled across page 3. One woman brought a birth certificate laminated so badly the corners curled. "Scan it anyway," May said. "The state can complain later." Clara did not give speeches. She handed out seed packets and binder clips. She wrote down who needed help finding records. One evening, Jenna arrived while paper and seed night was still going. She stood at the greenhouse door in a beige coat, too clean for the muddy entrance. Her hair was pinned back. She had Warren's eyes and Clara's mouth, which made some expressions difficult to read. "Dad says this is a legal mess," Jenna said. "It is. He says people are using you." Clara looked over at May, helping an 82-year-old widow scan a car title. "They're doing a poor job of it." Jenna did not smile. Clara showed her the deed, Lillian's letter, the notary log, the medical summary. Jenna read each one slowly. Her phone buzzed twice. She turned it face down. "She really gave it to you." "She did." Jenna touched the edge of the paper but did not pick it up. "Dad," said Grandma, signed nonsense papers. Clara slid the deed back into its sleeve. He said a lot of things. At the far table, May was arguing with the scanner. The file had saved as final PDF, and nobody could find the first version. Jenna looked toward the rows of seedlings. "What do you need done?" Clara pointed to a stack of folders. "Alphabetical, last name first." Jenna took off her coat and sat down. She stayed 40 minutes. Before leaving, she stopped beside Lillian's stool. "I remember this smaller," she said. "You were smaller." Jenna did not answer that. At the door, she looked back once. "Text me the court time." Then she left. The night before the hearing, frost came late. April 22. Dogwoods is already open. Tomatoes 6 inches tall. Peppers just pushing their second leaves. The forecast had said 38 degrees until May called at 9:41 p.m. and said, it changed, 28 by dawn. Clara was brushing her teeth in the nursery office with a bottle of water and a chipped mug that said Myrtle Beach, 2011. She spat into the utility sink and looked toward the greenhouse. The warm lights were on, but the east end still leaked air. By 10, Eli had arrived in the bicycle jacket, though he now drove Roy's old truck with no passenger mirror. May came with quilts in trash bags. Roy brought moving blankets. 2 women from Paper and Seed Night brought extension cords, one orange, one Christmas green. At 10:29, May texted everyone whose number she had. At 10:36, Jenna pulled in. She was wearing sneakers with no socks. "Tell me what to do," she said. Nobody made a speech. They worked. Eli checked the heaters and found one tripping under load. Clara moved the youngest tomato trays toward the center aisle. Jenna clipped quilts across the plastic panel with clothespins from Lillian's old tin. May filled black nursery tubs with hot water from the office sink to hold heat through the night. Roy duct-taped cardboard over a roof vent, then realized the cardboard was an old campaign sign for a sheriff who had lost in 2009. "Figures," he said, and taped it anyway. After midnight, the greenhouse smelled of wet wool, soil, coffee, and warm plastic. Frost silvered the gravel outside. Inside, the lights glowed yellow over rows of seedlings. At 2:18 a.m., the power flickered. Everything went black. Beside Clara, Jenna went still. Then the backup breaker caught and half the lights came back. Not all. Enough. Clara stood in the dark half of the aisle holding a tray of basil. Jenna appeared beside her and took the other end without being asked. The tray was heavier than it looked. By dawn, the glass was white outside and dripping inside. The seedlings leaned but lived. One tray of peppers at the far end had gone limp. Eli set it aside without comment. Jenna sat on Lillian's stool, hair fallen out of its clip, mud on one cheek. Clara handed her coffee in a paper cup that said "Best Dad Ever." Jenna looked at it, then laughed once, quietly. Clara checked the tomatoes. Stems upright, leaves cold but green. "Roots first," she said. Jenna looked up. Clara moved the tray closer to light. Flowers later. They left for court 3 hours after sunrise. Before Clara walked into the courthouse, she stopped beside the Buick and checked the folder in her tote. Deed, certified copy, notary log, medical record, tax payment plan, Lillian's letter, seed ledger excerpts, a yellow sticky note from May that said "breathe," misspelled as bread. For everyone who stayed to see the truth catch up, subscribe now. Clara still has one door to walk through, and this one matters. The circuit courtroom smelled of old varnish and copier toner. A bailiff with a silver mustache called the docket. Warren sat at the petitioner's table with Bellamy and a younger attorney who kept opening and closing a silver pen. Warren looked at Clara once. He looked away first. The hearing took less than an hour, though Clara would remember it later as a series of small objects. Warren's wedding ring gone, pale skin where it had been. The judge's water glass half full, Bellamy's pen tapping once, then stopping when the judge looked at him. May's purple glasses cord. Bellamy argued capacity, influence, concealment. He said Clara had been in a position of trust. He said Lillian depended on her. He said the deed had not been discussed within the family. Clara's attorney, a legal aid property lawyer named Miss Han, stood with 3 folders and no theatrics. The deed was recorded in 2004, she said. My client did not create a hidden interest. The public record did. She submitted the notary log, the medical summary, the recorded deed, tax records showing Warren had never paid expenses for Parcel B. The divorce settlement where Warren's own side listed the greenhouse parcel as Clara's retained separate asset with no objection. The judge read for a long time. Paper turned. Outside, a truck backed up somewhere near the courthouse loading dock. Beep, beep, beep. Bellamy tried to argue that Lillian's illness made the transfer suspect. Miss Han handed up the discharge note. Alert and oriented. Capacity intact. May testified briefly. She gave her name, her former position, and the recording procedure. She remembered Lillian. She was clear, May said. Bellamy asked, "You recall one deed from 20 years ago?" May looked at him. "I recall women who know exactly what they're doing." He did not ask another question. Then Miss Hahn called Jenna. Clara turned before she could stop herself. Jenna walked to the witness stand with a folded paper in one hand. She did not look at Clara. She testified about a family dinner in 2011, 3 years after Lillian died, when Warren had mentioned some greenhouse paperwork Mother signed and said he had taken care of it. Jenna had been 17. She remembered because it was the same night she spilled cranberry sauce on her homecoming dress, and Warren told her club soda fixed everything. It had not fixed the dress. Bellamy objected to relevance. The judge allowed the testimony for the limited purpose of notice. Warren stared at the table. His younger attorney stopped clicking the pen. Hands. The judge ruled from the bench. The deed was valid. The greenhouse parcel belonged to Clara Elaine Whitcomb as her sole and separate property. The divorce settlement would not be reopened. Warren's claims were dismissed with prejudice. There was no gasp, no applause. Just the clerk stamping the order with a hard thump. Clara looked down at her hands. There was greenhouse dirt under one thumbnail from that morning. In the hallway, Warren caught up to her near the vending machines. One machine displayed barbecue chips in the wrong spot, trapped against the glass. "Clara," he said. She stopped. Warren held his coat over one arm. He looked older under courthouse lights. Not broken, not sorry enough to be useful. Just tired. "I didn't know she recorded it," he said. Clara adjusted the tote strap on her shoulder. "You knew she signed something." He looked down the hallway toward Bellamy, who was speaking into his phone. "She was angry with me. She was careful." Warren rubbed his thumb across the place where his ring had been. "What are you going to do with it?" Clara thought of the frost, the quilts, Jenna on the stool, the pepper tray that might not recover. Keep it alive. Warren waited as if there might be more. There was not. 6 months later, the greenhouse had a name painted on a cedar board above the door. Lillian House Greenhouse. Roy had made the sign, though he spelled greenhouse as greenhose the first time and had to sand it down. He left the faint mark of the wrong letters because cedar only forgave so much. By October, the east wall was glass again. Not matching glass. Some panes had bubbles. One had a manufacturer's mark from 1974 in the corner. The well pump ran with a shutter but held pressure. The heat mats worked. The Mr. Lines no longer spat sideways at passing ankles. Eli finished his certification in greenhouse management using a second-hand laptop Clara bought from a teacher whose son had upgraded. He printed the certificate and taped it inside the office window until May made him frame it. Paper and seed night became every Thursday. Women came with folders and questions. Men came too, sometimes pretending they were only there to carry boxes. May showed them how to search land records. Clara taught them seed depth, soil temperature, and why tomatoes disliked wet leaves. A volunteer attorney came once a month and answered questions under the yellow heat lamps, while marigolds bloomed beside her briefcase. Nobody called it charity. That word had too many hooks in it. They called it Thursdays. Jenna brought her daughter Lucy on the first Saturday in October. Lucy was 7 and wore purple rain boots, though there had been no rain for 9 days. She stood beside Lillian's stool and watched Clara fill seed trays with fall greens. "Can I do one?" Lucy asked. Clara handed her a pencil. "Make the holes first." Lucy pushed too deep. "Not that far," Jenna said. Clara touched Jenna's wrist. "She'll learn." Late that afternoon, after Jenna and Lucy left with collared starts and dirty hands, Clara stayed behind to close the greenhouse. Lucy had dropped one seed beside Lillian's stool. Clara saw it while coiling the hose. A single collared seed, no bigger than a freckle, sitting in the dust where a boot could crush it. She picked it up and held it on the tip of her finger. The greenhouse was quiet except for water ticking through the mister line Eli still had not fully trusted. Outside, October light thinned across the old nursery. The 2 dogwoods Roy had planted by the drive looked too small for the field around them. On the potting bench sat Lillian's cookie tin, cleaned but still dented. The blue Christmas angels were faded. One still had the mustache someone had drawn in black ink years before. Above it, the deed hung in a plain black frame. May had taped a small card under it. "Keep a copy somewhere else." The card was crooked. May denied doing it. Clara filled one empty cell with soil, pressed the seed in with her little finger, and covered it lightly. Not too deep. Lillian would have corrected that. The heater clicked on overhead. Warm air moved down the aisle, carrying the smell of damp peat, old wood, and basil gone woody at the stems. Clara turned off the misters, checked the south latch. Moved one tray away from the draft by the repaired east wall. The last pane there did not match the others. It had a manufacturer's mark from 1974 in the corner and a tiny trapped bubble shaped like a comma. She locked the greenhouse door with a new brass key. The Buick waited in the gravel. Same car, same one working speaker, same tire pressure light glowing on the dashboard, though all four tires were full. Clara sat behind the wheel but did not start the engine right away. In the cup holder, under a folded receipt for mix and binder clips, was Warren's old library card. She had stopped noticing it months ago. Warren Whitcomb, expires 11/2017. She picked it up and turned it once in her fingers. Then she took it back inside. At the potting bench, she used the edge of the card to press a straight row into a fresh tray of soil. It made a clean line, cleaner than expected. She set the card in the drawer with the plant labels. Outside, the Buick gave one soft warning chime through the open door. Clara looked once more at the framed deed. The heater clicked again. The deed was still there.